Hello, everyone. We are Dog Co, and we're here to present our observational research, which is part 2B of the research phase. I'm Ahan Sinha, and I'm joined by Alison Henry, Gillian Snap, and Saliha James. So I'm going to hand it over to Saliha to briefly talk about the objective, and then we're going to get into the chosen method, the approach, our observations, which we all found, and then rounding it out with the key findings. So, Saliha, do you want to briefly get into our introduction and objective?
Yeah, thank you. So our project explores the ideal dating experience for dog owners. Pets, especially dogs, play a major role in people's lifestyle and relationships. Dogs often do serve as companions. They do act as conversation starters, and some people symbolize them as, responsibility or commitment. So the objective of our research is to better understand how dogs influence dating dynamics, specifically on how connections are sparked to influence long-term compatibility. So by focusing on real-life interactions in dog-friendly spaces, our goal is to uncover how pets enhance or complicate the dating experience.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Allison to talk about our method and approach.
So, for this study, we chose covert non-participant observation. We observed interactions in natural settings without directly engaging participants. Because we are students, we don't have the resources to recruit participants, so this method allowed us to gather authentic insights into how dogs influence social and relational dynamics. By observing people at dog-friendly spaces, we were able to notice patterns in how dogs spark conversation, act as social bridges, and shape the overall dating experience without disrupting the natural flow of people's behaviors. So, to capture authentic interactions between dog owners and others, we conducted covert non participant observations in everyday settings where people naturally bring their pets. So, we chose pet friendly spaces such as a brewery, a vet clinic, coffee shop, and dog park, and we were able to observe a variety of social contexts. These locations provided opportunities to see how dogs shape conversations, influence first impressions, and impact the ways people connect outside of staged or artificial scenarios. So, some things we looked for were key moments in the service experience before, during, and after the visits, some pain points such as other customers appearing uncomfortable, tight spaces, lack of pet friendly seating, missing water bottles, no designated bathroom areas, noisy, crowded areas, tripping hazards, or dog personality clashes. We looked for positive moments such as bonding with other pet owners, striking up conversations, enjoying the overall vibe, and staff interactions. We also looked at general observations, capturing natural behaviors through covert observation, and activities, noting what people and their dogs were doing, how they entered, where they went first, how they managed their belongings while they handled the pets, and games and activities that unfolded.
So now I'll take it over to Saliha to talk about the veterinary clinic.
Thank you. Yeah, so I went to Fayetteville Veterinary Medical Center. As you can see, some photos I took of the outside as well as my drawing of the layout of the place. So the environment and setup. As soon as I walked in with my dog Zucchini, it was a welcoming atmosphere. So I was immediately greeted by staff, and every customer and pet I noticed was greeted as soon as they walked in. The layout was clear. So there was seating on both sides of the entrance. There was also like patient rooms. All of them were labeled. There were seven. They all had numbers 1 through 7 on there. I noticed that there was water fountains and there was a little like self-serve coffee, tea area and water. There was also like dog treats that sat on the front desk counter. They also had like pet magazines and hand sanitizer like at the entrance and like areas where people was sat. Check-in and check-out was also done at the front desk, and a doorbell announced basically customers as they walked in. It didn't actually go off when they exited. So the customer and pet behavior is what I noticed. Like owners entered in with their dogs on leashes. They had poop bags, or if they had like other animals, they had them in carriers. So pets and owners like waited calmly in designated seating areas. Dogs were on leashes. Customers did engage with other nearby pets, and I noticed them striking up conversations with each other, mostly using their pets as like icebreakers, asking questions about um, like the pet's age or like maybe like why they were in, just talking friendly to each other's pets, mentioning how cute they are. Staff interactions were also consistent and warm, friendly. They were also really attentive to the pets as well as people. So the positives, as I mentioned, every customer was greeted and it was very warm as well as to the pets. There was treats, magazines, water fountains, and that self-service like coffee, tea space. There was also a designated restroom. There was also an area outside for dogs to be able to use the restroom with poop bags that were provided and a trash can. The layout was clear and organized. And staff gave extra attention to the pets, like making them feel more like, warm and like welcome and personable. The pain points, there was limited seating areas, is what I noticed, especially when I went back at another time and it got busy and picked up. So there was also noise from multiple pets and the doorbell ringing. Like there's a lot of dogs here actually barking or just making other kind of like weird, funny noises. And I did notice that it could potentially cause like stress for some of the other animals that were in there. And also I noticed some of the people kind of having a lot of belongings because they were picking up pets from them having like surgeries or they, just having like their leashes, juggling a carrier and like their phones and other belongings. And then I just noticed during the busy times that there was a longer like wait time.
All right. Thank you, Saliha. I will now hand over to Jillian to talk about the dog park. Oh, Jillian, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I went to Leda Thompson Dog Park in Roswell. And it has a large parking lot out front with the dog park located next to a nature walking trail with a small and a large dog park situated right next to each other with a fence in between. The park is built on a hill, so the parking lot is at the top and the dog park is positioned on the downhill slope. And the overall atmosphere was welcoming yet introverted as there was not a ton of interaction between owners. Uh, as for cus as for owner and pet behavior, there were comments made about dogs playing together, and there were two extroverted dog owners who talked to each other about life in Roswell. Two people who are possibly related sat on a bench and talked to each other during their time. And there were two large dogs consistently playing together, but the owners stood on opposite sides of the park. And there was one dog playing fetch with its owner. For positives, everyone was smiling and respectful to each other. All the dogs were well managed and supervised by owners despite their distractions, like being on their phone. One person sat on a bench with a stranger and talked to them briefly, so it fostered an environment for new interactions and meeting new people. Water bowls were provided by the park, and some owners brought tennis balls for fetch. As for pain points, no platforms or equipment for dogs were in the park for them to climb or interact with, and many people sat on benches and kept to themselves. One dog was too small for the large dog park and needed to be in the small dog area, and a reactive dog tried to fight it. And lastly, park rules and signage were not looked at by the owners upon arrival.
All right. Thank you, Jillian. Now, Alison went to a brewery, so I'm just going to hand it off to her to talk about it.
So the environment and setup, there was an outdoor area and an indoor area, and I was only in the outdoor area, but there were signs indicating that dogs should stay outside. There were picnic tables and benches providing ample seating, and the outdoor area was designed for dogs with lots of space. People brought their own bowls and containers for dog water because none were provided. And for customer and pet behavior, dogs roamed around, but they stayed friendly and curious towards other people and other dogs. Owners let others pet their dogs, including the waiters. Some dogs stayed still with more reserved owners, while others were more outgoing. Owners left their dogs with other people at the table when going inside. Some of them just tied up the leash to the bench. And then dogs, sometimes there was one dog who was climbing onto the bench and the table. And owners initiated conversation with other dog owners so that their dogs could talk. Positives were friendly, well-behaved dogs and owners, no wild behavior. Dogs acted as icebreakers, sparking conversations about rescues, personalities, etc. One dog owner talked to me for a little bit about how she just adopted her dog. The outdoor area provided plenty of space and seating. Activities included eating, drinking, talking, watching movies, and interacting with dogs. Pain points, no water bowls were provided, so customers had to bring their own. The movie playing reduced conversation between people, and the dogs could have potential for disruptive behavior, like the one that jumped on the table.
All right, thank you, Allison. Now, I live in Midtown, and there's this place I frequent quite a bit called Cafe Intermezzo. And while doing research for this, I realized that Cafe Intermezzo is actually a pet-friendly cafe. So I went in there to look at it from a new perspective on what it would be like for pets to go here, and here are my observations. Briefly about the environment and setup, there's a lot of cozy, intimate, and luxurious interior design with the chandeliers, and there's a lot of gold framed paintings that have some references to pets, like there's a painting of a dog and a lot of old European style paintings there. They're primarily round tables in this establishment with two seats, so it's ideal for dates. But then they also have couches in the back corner when there's multiple people who want to eat together. And there's also outdoor and indoor seating, but outdoor seating isn't available when it's raining. So when I talk about customer and pet behavior, there were two dogs when I went, and both pet owners were in outdoor seating, which I found out was later because dogs are not allowed inside. More on that in a bit. One of the dogs was small and was in its owner's purse, while the other dog was, I'd say, medium sized and was on the ground with a leash. The dogs didn't appear to be agitated, they looked relaxed and calm, and servers were definitely trained to handle pet owners. I saw them bring out water and make conversation about the pet. So, again, over here, pets acted as a social lubricant. Now, talking about the positives, it's very clear that trained staff equals comfortable pets. When staff knows how to handle people with pets, to make conversation with them, to make sure the pets feel comfortable, to provide water, then the pets themselves are not agitated and they're not disruptive to the overall mood and setting of the cafe. It was a relaxed but lively atmosphere, and the intimate seating arrangement definitely helped promote conversation during dates. And what I also love is because it is located on a walking track very close to a park, people can stop for a coffee while walking their pets. So it feels like a natural stopping point, at least geographically. Pain points, dogs weren't allowed inside. This might be a pain point for people who want to enjoy the nice European house decorations inside. Uh, and the menu was very limited. So I saw there was an item listed called Pappuccino, which is for dogs. But that was the only thing. I didn't see anything else on the menu for dogs. And except for water, I don't think this is a cafe that specifically caters to pet owners, but it is still a very, very popular cafe in Midtown that has accommodations for pet owners. And so now I'll talk about the key findings that we had from here. I think it is clear that across the board, whether it is a dog park, brewery, and coffee shop, one theme that definitely stands out is dogs acting as social lubricators. They spark conversations, they break the ice, and they give owners common ground to bend over. But at the same time, the environment and amenities that strongly shape the experience. The friendly staff treats, the water bowls, and comfortable spaces, it all helps encourage positive interactions. In the dog park, we saw that many owners kept to themselves, and there was dog size and reactivity issues. In the vet, we saw that there were challenges with limited seating, noise, and wait times. And even in the brewery, even though dogs sparked friendly chats, there was a lack of water bowls and there was some disruptive behavior, likely as a result of the dogs being agitated. Now, dogs enrich social and dating experiences by making interactions warmer and more approachable. But thoughtful design of spaces and services is essential to help those connections thrive. And those were our findings. Thank you.